What you bringing there, bud? Is it something good?
Nothing too crazy, just some supplies that I had in one of the other seaports.
Oh, alright.
It's like guns and uniforms and shit.
We have stunning breaking news coming from the Pentagon in zero time to waste. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth have officially ordered 1,500 U.S. soldiers to be at the ready in case Donald Trump decides to deploy them against U.S. citizens in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Troops with the Army's 11th Airborne Division in Alaska have been told to prepare in case Donald Trump decides to initiate the Insurrection Act, therefore escalating in order to intimidate the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let me be clear. Just like Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey is about to say in one moment, this is an unnecessary escalation meant to intimidate and meant to further grab power from Donald Trump. Think about the timeline here. Nick Shirley makes a video about supposed fraud in Minneapolis that was already investigated years ago. If you want to start an investigation into the fraud, that's one thing. Okay, start an investigation into fraud, sure. But Donald Trump decides to escalate by deploying thousands of federal troops to go terrorize people in Minneapolis. Not to deport criminals, but to terrorize the people of Minneapolis. In the process of this, Renee Nicole Good gets shot. The Trump administration decides to escalate even further. Yet again, that's all they know how to do, and they decide to cover up the investigation, spike the investigation, and claim Renee Nicole Good was a domestic terrorist like 45 minutes after she was tragically murdered. It was awful, of course, so people take to the streets peacefully. They say, hey, you can't just cover this up. You can't just send ICE here to escalate over and over. Guess what Trump's response was? It was to further effing escalate. Then, there were 3,000 federal troops in Minneapolis compared to 600 local enforcement. So, people are like, dude, Trump, you should be done. But Donald Trump is still not done grabbing power. You even see, yesterday, Governor Tim Walz deployed the Minnesota National Guard in the best way possible. The Minnesota National Guard was mobilized to stage support for local law enforcement and emergency management agencies. As Adam Cochran points out, finally, as I mentioned the other day, if the Guard is deployed by Governor Walz on a mission to support state agencies, then Trump cannot use the Insurrection Act to take control of them in particular. The Guard is directed by and accountable to the governor and can act as observers against ICE, who support the local law enforcement that have been repeatedly undermined and stepped on by ICE. We then see Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey hopping on TV moments ago to respond to the 1,500 troops at the ready.
That there are 1,500 active duty U.S. soldiers on standby to deploy to your state.
This act was clearly designed to intimidate the people of Minneapolis. And here's the thing. We're not going to be intimidated. If the goal here is safety, we've got many mechanisms to achieve safety. And the best way to get safety is not to have an influx of even more agents, and in this case, military, in Minneapolis. Right now, we have about 600 police officers, and they've got 3,000 or so ICE agents and border control. That they are now talking about deploying 1,500 military. This is, well, it's ridiculous, but we will not be intimidated by the actions of this federal government.
Thank you. There's more to come from Mayor Jacob Frey, but to continue here, Governor Tim Walz did something that I find respectable, but honestly, I think there's different ways to go about this. So he says, I am making a direct appeal to the president. Let's turn the temperature down. Stop this campaign of retribution. This is not who we are. An appeal to Minnesotans. I know this is scary. We must speak out loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. We cannot ban the chaos. That's what he wants. Of course, I think people should be peaceful. I like that part. But making a direct appeal to the president via written letter is so like Trump term one. Written letters to Donald Trump don't mean shit to him. Written letters don't mean shit to people who want authoritarian power. So of course, Trump should turn down the temperature. I don't disagree with that whatsoever, but I think the better move that Governor Tim Walz made was actually utilizing the resources he had at his disposal and doing something to fight back against Trump's relentless power grab. Trump wants to deploy the 11th Airborne Division. That's not extra security. It's an elite airborne combat unit built for rapid force projection. You don't deploy paratroopers like this unless you're escalating. Congress needs to stop watching from the bleachers and do its job. Let me show you why Congress needs to do its job. What they are doing in Minneapolis is fundamentally unconstitutional, and the Homeland Security's account posted a video and then got fact-checked by Elon Musk's Twitter as being unconstitutional. Let me play this video of their spokeswoman.
Can you clarify what exactly that means? Do American citizens, as of now, need to carry their passports or other immigration documents to show that they're citizens?
That's a really important question. Do Americans have to carry their passport or carry papers at all times?
I'm so glad you asked this question because I think that there's a lot of confusion there about this. We have incredibly targeted immigration enforcement operations. So what's happening there is there is reasonable suspicion. If somebody is in the vicinity of this operation, of this target, then they could be asked for their identification. We've been vindicated by this by the Supreme Court, September of 2025. You all saw a case out of Los Angeles where they said we can use a reasonable suspicion. I think I've seen a lot on this network and other places where they're talking about this is racially based. Absolutely not. Racial animus is no place in DHS and is...
Come on. In practice, we have seen DHS troops, we have seen ICE agents over and over say, where are the Venezuelans? We've got a Guatemalan. These are their words. I've shown you these videos. They literally call people out and say, hey, we've got somebody who looks a certain way. The Fourth Amendment requires probable cause, says Twitter, for arrests. Reasonable suspicion suffices only for brief investigatory stops, not full arrests. Dan says this is literally the Department of Homeland Security getting a high school level civics question flat wrong and then getting fact checked. What an absolute joke of an administration. So while this administration is focused on intimidating and escalating via force, Governor Tim Walz is trying to provide a steady hand by making sure the Minnesota National Guard is deploying in reflective yellow vests, quote, to help distinguish them from other agencies in similar uniforms. While all of this is happening, the politicians in Minnesota, like Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Fry, are being investigated by the DOJ for awful, dumb, trumped-up charges. Genuinely, Trump made-up charges. A congressman, Mike Lee, says, no member of Congress should ever refer to our country as the U.S. goddamn states. What should be the consequence of saying that? Elon Musk responds and says he thinks the consequence for Ilhan Omar, swearing in a sentence, should be whatever the penalty is for treason. For further context, Laura Loomer quote tweets Elon Musk and says, Grok, what is the real punishment for treason? I'm not going to put Grok's answer, but it of course said death. So if we just zoom out, Elon Musk is cheering and clapping as Donald Trump is about to deploy actual troops to Minnesota and Minneapolis. Donald Trump is currently targeting the mayor and governor, who are Democrats, and saying that they need to go to prison, maybe even they've committed treason or sedition. Elon Musk, the free speech guy, the guy who bought Twitter to be a free speech advocate, is cheering and clapping all of this on while saying that Ilhan Omar should be put to death for simply swearing in a sentence. It is batshit crazy, and the fact that these are the people in control, is just absolutely mind-boggling. Elon Musk will quote some random college student who says some mean thing about Charlie Kirk's wife and say, this person is ruining our country. But then he, the richest man on the planet, who wasn't even born here, will say that our politicians should be put to death. I think Elon Musk is the one who, in a top-down way, is radical. Donald Trump then makes a post on Truth Social and says, ICE is removing some of the most violent criminals in the world from our country and bring them back home where they belong. First of all, that doesn't even make grammatical sense. But secondly, if you were actually just targeting criminals, no one would have a problem. If all the videos that popped up were of Laken Riley's murderer, some gang member that was here illegally, getting sent home and deported with due process, we'd be like, yeah, he killed Laken Riley, of course. That is not what's happening. Every single video I see is a U.S. citizen being pushed to the ground or having his eye shot out or getting shot in the back of the head. A U.S. citizen having their ribs cracked, being pepper sprayed, elderly protesters being handcuffed with no due process. It is absolutely absurd what we are seeing, and Donald Trump must be seeing different things. He says, why is Minnesota fighting this? Because they're not just attacking criminals. He says, do they really want murderers and drug dealers to be in their community? Nobody wants that, but we also don't want murderers with a badge and a gun to be walking around our community with absolute immunity. Then, the Pentagon says they are readying 1,500 soldiers to possibly deploy. This loops us back around to the headline, because after all of this insane rhetoric coming from the admin, they decide they need to escalate more. The soldiers are assigned to 2 infantry battalions within the Army's 11th Airborne Division, which is based in Alaska and specializes in cold weather operations. So they are trying to deploy units meant for the cold because ICE is slipping around too much in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Are we serious here? The Lincoln Project says this has been the plan all along. Foment violence and chaos in the streets of Minnesota and Minneapolis. Implement the Insurrection Act, declare martial law, and then potentially suspend elections if he gets to the point that he wants. It's crazy because these protests that you see on screen aren't even for military force being used in Minneapolis. It's against military force being used in Greenland. So we have multiple cohorts of populations revolting at the same time against a regime that is trying to hyper-militarize the streets of any blue city, mainly right now Minneapolis, but it's hit Chicago, where I live, it's hit LA, it's hit other cities, and we have people abroad who are like, keep your hands off our damn country. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
I needed. It's a kind of an emergency. So I'm sitting in the thing, and I'm not getting called in, but the ladies are just, no, there's not even a receptionist. And Stan comes out with his mask, and the first thing I hear is, pig fucker, fucking cocksucker, fucking pig fucker. And I'm like, what is happening in there? It's in the other room. And Stan comes in with his mask, and he goes, sorry, he goes, I'll be with you soon. He goes, I got Hunter in the chair. And he goes back, and I listen to Hunter Thompson swear for like 15 minutes. I'm like, this is amazing. And then Stan goes, okay, come on back. And Hunter's kind of getting out, and he goes, oh, you're sitting down with this guy? He's a fucking assassin. And then he goes, and he's got this jug of clear fluid. And he's like, you're gonna need a sip of this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking Hunter S. Thomps's moonshine. I'm like, this is ethyl alcohol. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. I'm like, I'm talking to this dude for 30 seconds and I'm getting a sip. And it was like 10 in the morning on a Sunday. Yeah. He was halfway through the jug, pure like fucking like, yeah.
Where was this?
In Beverly Hills. Yeah. Yeah, Brentwood. Yeah, Brentwood was Stan's office. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It really was amazing. It was, and so I had probably a total of 7 minutes, with him, and it was like I could not have been a better 7 minutes.
That's incredible. I went to the Woody Creek Tavern just to go there because I know he used to go there.
Yeah.
And like you could like feel him in the building. There's all the pictures on the walls. It's a cool little place.
Yeah, I mean, those books, fucking Hell's Angels and Fear and Loathing, it's some of the best writing. I just fucking, like, he really had his own voice. Rum Diary, spectacular, it was like really descriptive and punchy and interesting and fucked up. And he also just lived that life. It was like
Fear and Loathing changed my life. Like, reading that book was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this guy doing? There's grown men out there, balding grown men with spectacles running around with
think there's lizards in the fucking lounge. Like, you guys hallucinating. And like,
he's got a day trip bag filled with acid. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
And it's great shit. It's like you fucking feel like you're on the adventure with him,
Yeah. No, it's interesting to watch the evolution of his writing too. I read Hell's Angels, and it's like very different. But
it's early. He's kind of restrained, and he was quite like for that. I think it was edgy, sort of for the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're gonna get beaten, Shane whipped, and stomped by the Angels, and that was really edgy. And by the time they got into what it was, Fear and Loathing '72 or something like that, he was just
he was gone.
There. He found his voice.
He did find his voice.
He was supposed to be covering a race for Sports Illustrated. That's a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas came from.
I fucking lost my mind. Great, it's great, Hunter.
We'll take it.
Well, hey, it's very nice to meet you guys. I've met you before, but it's very nice
pleasure,
to meet you.
Man. Thank you very much.
I love the fucking movie. The Rip is great.
Thanks.
It's really good. It's so original, and it's so different, and it's it's like I love those kind of movies, but it's not like any one that I've ever seen before. Really solid movie.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
So much better than hating it.
The interviews were like, so I saw the movie. Anyway, how you guys been?
We've had a lot of those the press junkets where they come in and the first thing that the movie sucks if they don't ask you anything about the movie. They come in and they go, so how you been?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be bad.
Is it weird, like the transformation of the film industry seems to like a lot of it is moving towards these big streaming movies now?
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's because where most people have gone to watch them. Right?
Yeah.
Like, used to be the only place you could go see movies in the 40s. Like every American went to the movie every week, basically. But it was because it was that or watch the cows walk by. You know, that was the only. And then TV comes around, and it's little, and you see these little serials. But you know what happened was now this is why it's totally changed the whole thing, because you got 300 million people, 330 whatever it is, watching Netflix, and it's a lot harder to get people to go into the movies. There's also YouTube, there's also TikTok, there's also my kids. Like it's hard to get them excited about a movie.
Yeah.
Because that's what we had. I mean,
Yeah, that was our teen years were just every weekend we're at the movies.
Yeah.
There's just no question about it. You were going to go and usually not get into one because there were too many people, and then you just see what else is playing and go to that.
Well, it seems like it was kind of slipping away because so many people were watching streaming already, and then COVID came around and everyone was locked down and no one was going to the movie theater, and then it just set in.
I had this like drama that was coming out like right when COVID hit. I really liked the movie, performance movies. An alcoholic guy whose kid dies and becomes an alcoholic. It's a dark movie, but I loved it, and I could tell like we're fucked. No one's going to go to see it to theater, see this movie. And it wasn't even that streaming really blew up, of course, during COVID. So, look, they rushed it onto streaming. People actually saw it. I was like, well, all things being equal, I'd like people to see it, and it's not like my dad had an 11-inch black and white TV, and that's what was TV viewing. Now it's like $200. You got a fucking 65-inch flat screen, and good sound. So, of course, people are willing to. And then streamers also started making great shows. You have Adolescence. I don't know if you saw. I think that's one of the best things ever done.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Adolescence.
It's unbelievable.
What is it?
Oh my God! I don't want to spoil too much of it. It's only 4 episodes.
They're all one shot.
They're all one shot. Each episode is one entire shot.
Whoa!
So the cast, they took I talked to the director about it. The cast took a week to rehearse each one, and then a week to shoot it. And so they do it twice a day. It's the full hour. They would choreograph the entire thing. Yeah, it's really.
And then the acting is
great.
But
just dismiss that. Even you could even call it a gimmick. It's not in this case, but the performances and the writing and what it's about, it's as good as anything you'll see. It's phenomenal.
What is it on?
Netflix. Yeah. But you have it's not even an anomaly. There's Baby Rangers. There's fucking Succession. There's Game of Thrones. Ozarks. It's just like, okay, well, they're doing great shit out there. It's not like this sort of implied thing before was like, yeah, well, TV's not as interesting. It's a serial.
When we started, there was a different.
Hey, vote Industrial if you haven't already.
He very famously, became a superstar on ER. That show, 40 million people a week were watching that show. It was the biggest thing, right? Because there were only a few channels to tune into, and that show was the biggest one. And George never renegotiated his contract. He wanted to work in movies, and it was like, you can't go from TV to movie. It's very hard. Very few people can do it. Yeah. And he really strategically and kind of patiently, he joked that on the last episode he was on, Anthony Edwards, his co-star, was making $1 million for the episode, and he was making, 20 grand or whatever his deal was. Like, he could have renegotiated, but he would have had to give more years.
That's how bad he wanted to get off TV.
Right.
And do movies.
That's how bad he wanted to get off the biggest TV show in the world, because there was such a big kind of level change between features and TV.
Well, it was a giant difference in quality.
Vote Industrial if you haven't.
Breaking it up for commercials.
Right.
It was just a different experience.
Couldn't be, there's all these rules. So, you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't swear, can't have violence, and all the things people want to see in movies, and also it wasn't as interesting. And then now that's tethered to these schedules and all this stuff, whereas you get this shit like you don't have a schedule, and you can take a bunch of risks. So, and that started happening, and then it was kind of like, well, this is just as good, if not better, than what's in the movies.
Well, then movies started to move towards more IP,
because it was hard to get to the movies. Everyone got scared and thought, well, you have to be a sequel or a superhero movie.
And so an interesting little movie, kind of in the 90s when we kind of came onto the scene, there were a lot of really good independent movies that were being made. There was it was a really great time to be making movies. They were making daring movies, and then everyone just got way more conservative because it's huge. Like, the business is so different theatrically and streaming, because to put out a movie theatrically, you have to put so much more money behind it to publicize. Like, you're trying to get everybody
spending about what the budget was to make it to advertise.
Because you got
50% of the theatrical.
Yeah, because you split it with the movie house, right? The exhibitor.
So $25 million movie to break even, you got to make $100 million.
And so, and you got to get everybody to not only know about the movie, but to show up like that Friday night. like that specific time, you know, for that specific movie, and so and to cut through all the noise that people are pretending.
I feel like it just becomes about risk. You know, risk. They want to make something new because it's such an investment. We're gonna lose our fucking money, and just step into that. Like, you know, you didn't have to necessarily have a star. You could try something more interesting. Or you didn't have to be a superhero movie, whatever it was. People my age, like, it's first of all, it's expensive. Like, take your whole family, it's $100. You're on streaming service, $100. So you can't be cavalier about it. But you're just gonna price it however the fuck you want and expect everyone to like be indifferent to that. And then, you know, also, you know, the idea of like for me, you know, for the last time I made movies. Do I want to see the Odyssey on a big screen? Fucking definitely. I went to the theater to just watch the trailer for that movie. And you know, did I at one battle after another I wanted to go see in the theater. But there's movies of people that I really like and respect where, yeah, and I got a good system and shit, but I'm like, look, I'll watch it and I might get tired. I'll pause it and take a piss. Or the kids, you know, whatever it is. That's my lifestyle, you know, and so
And most
I
people's lifestyle.
I think most people are, yeah.
But there's the experience of seeing it with a bunch of other people. You see an awesome movie with a bunch of other people. It's like a shared experience.
100%.
great.
And I always
you have
liken it
people's
to
attention.
way more like when I went to see One Battle on IMAX, like, you know, that feeling. There's nothing like that feeling. I took, you know, 2 of my kids and 2 of my nephews and my wife, and we all went, and it was like, and you're in with, you know, a bunch of strangers, the people in your community, and you're having this experience together. I always say it's more like going to church. Like you show up at an appointed time. You know what I mean? It doesn't wait for you. It's you know, versus the experience of watching at home. I think, you know, you're watching in a room, the lights are on, other shit's going on, the kids are running around, the dogs are running around, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just a very different level of attention that you're willing to, or that you're able to give to it. And that has a big effect. And it also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect on how you make movies. Like, for instance, Netflix, you know, the standard way to make an action movie that we learned was, you know, you usually have like 3 set pieces, one in the first act, one in the second, one in the third, and you know, they kind of ramp up in the big one with all the explosions, and you spend most of your money on that one in the third act. That's your kind of finale. And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes to get somebody, you know, we want people to stay tuned in, and you know, it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue, because people are on their phones while they're watching, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
And so then it's going to really start to infringe on
Creatively.
how we're telling the
But
story.
then you look at Adolescence, it didn't do any of that.
It didn't do
shit.
any of
And
that.
it's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's dark too. It's tragic and intense. It's like guy who finds out his kid's accused of murder, and it's like, you know, and there's long shots in the back of their head. They get in the car, nobody says anything. I think there are those. Look, these
I wish that
ideas,
were.
like,
That
you do
feels
this
more
trick,
like the
do that trick,
exception.
you know?
It's so masterfully made that it feels a little more like the exception. I hope it's not.
My
I mean,
feeling is just that it demonstrates that you don't need to do any of that shit to get people. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, you know, yes, you know, like, look, hey, the town had the action thing at the beginning of the first 5 minutes, because you know what I mean? Like, it's a common trick that you would go like, let me grab them, get them invested in. It's like the movies that start with the hero hanging from the cliff, and you know, we're gonna flash back to the beginning and tell you how they got there. You know, I always feel like, you know, complaining about it makes me feel like one of these guys was like, when I was a boy, like, you always want to freeze the culture at the time when you, I don't know, felt more like, you know, we didn't used to have these phones. The fuck are all these phones? And everybody's looking at their, I get it. Yes, it's true. Also, it's like supply and demand. People want to look at their phone. They can look at TikTok. They want, you know, they're going to do that. I think what you can do is make shit the best you can. Make it really good. And, you know, people can still go to movies. It's not like this idea that's like an existential. Everything that comes along is to destroy it. Instead of like, what history suggests is that there's like marginal encroachments, things shift. Yep, as television came along, there was less theater going. Less going to happen. And people are still going to go to movies because of what you said. Like, it feels like a cool thing to do. I'm going to go see, to be honest, I guarantee, in a theater, you know, no matter what. Fewer of them. You could argue that's because I have more choice or whatever it is. It's hard to fight supply and demand. That's the trick, right? If people want to watch a bunch of stuff at home, they invested in TVs and cost us money, they will. So, okay. But the upside of that is, like, I can try to do something, hopefully that's like, that actually doesn't need to, you know, have the most urgency to get you to come to the theater with your family. That's a little more experimental or risk taking or whatever in that way.
Well, you gotta adapt. I mean, there's no way you're gonna change people's viewing habits now.
No.
I mean, what percentage of Netflix is actually watched on phones? It's got to be pretty high, which is insane.
Yeah. Even watching on a laptop for me is kind of sucks. You know?
It sucks.
Yeah, that's a joke that I like to make with every director I work with. Like when they're really puzzling over a shot or really grinding out something, I go, it's not going to look as good on the phone. just everyone gets angry when you
takes the
say
wind
that.
out of their fucking sails. No, that's gonna look great. This fucking big, but keep fucking around and lighting that. We'll also,
It is weird though, the concern for the algorithm, like making sure that people watch. Like, look, we've got data that shows within the first 5 minutes when this happens, they tune out. So it's like my buddy Tony Hinchcliffe, he's got Kill Tony, and now it's on Netflix, and so they're giving him notes now, and they can give him like, but they're not telling him what to do, but they're saying like this is when people are tuning out, and so let's just so you have that data, now decide how you want to edit things. It's like,
Slippery slope. It is because it's like the bar for walking out of a movie theater is a lot higher than from just changing the channel. Right. And oftentimes, directors will want to make a movie that is challenging and upsetting. And I remember Terry Kinney, my friend, great actor, and he told me about the experience of seeing Taxi Driver in New York for the first time, right, in '76 or whenever it came out. And he said, what I remember is not only the movie, but I remember standing at the back because I got up out of my seat and I went, but I couldn't bring myself to leave because I was so invested. But I was standing at the back by the door watching the movie, and he goes, and there were 2 other people standing next to me who were doing the same thing.
Just because they were disturbed?
Because the movie was disturbing them so much.
Wow.
Which is not a bad thing, right? So had that been on Netflix or Amazon, if somebody says, I'm disturbed, and they change the channel, like that doesn't mean you shouldn't make Taxi Driver.
Right, that's true. Like the investment of going to a place is much greater.
Yeah, one of the values of that is that you look at movies from the 70s, the first act is 25, 30 minutes.
Right.
The Verdict, for instance, is a great movie. It takes a long time to
Look
get
at the
going.
Deer Hunter.
Yeah,
I mean, that's...
And you're right, like what you're saying, the threshold for walkout is real, like any scene, like, I want to watch Naked and Alone, like whatever, you flip the fucking, so you are battling that, and
I watched Le Mans the other night, Steve McQueen, and there's no one talks for like 5 minutes. There's no talking. It's just a bunch of stuff getting done. Just a bunch of people doing things, and it's like, wow, you could make a difference. You could let it air out back then. They had a different respect for what it was. Like you were telling a story, and you're gonna let it air out.
Well, they also knew where their audience was. They were in a theater.
Part of it was they wanted to come there. I mean, this great story I like is the first time they debuted a movie, guys, with a projector in a room full of people. It was a movie of a train pulling into the station. And they put the reel up and they did demonstrate, and they showed the people, and everybody missed it because they were turned around staring at the projector. They never fucking seen anything like that. It's like the technology's upstaging, but like you come for an event, you come for a thing. We're all going to be here. That's part of it. It's there's competing arguments. So you could think, well, what do you get to do? And some people just go ahead and fuck it. Like Jim Cameron's Avatar, I'm going to make my 3-hour movie, and people are going to come, and great. You know what I mean? And people say, oh, well, you can't have a 3-hour movie. And he's like, well, I'm Jim Cameron, and I've actually got the #1 and 2 and movies. I think I got this. He goes ahead and does it. History's full of people who got told a bunch of conventional wisdom, and they're like, yeah, but we're going to do something different. And as it turns out, like that's actually what people want too. It's not for you to just repeat the other shit that's been done before.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Have you heard of Visible? It's the one-line wireless with unlimited data and hotspot for $25 a month. Taxes and fees included, all on Verizon's 5G network. It's the ultimate wireless hack to save money and still get
your grip department. Your life. Those people are.
Yo, you want to buy some Coke, bro?
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
And imagine once you get a good flow with a great crew, like you got the band. Like there's no need to bring in new band members. Let's do this again.
Because then like you have the situation where they all are filmmakers too. Everybody knows what we're trying to do. So like then what makes it, you're trying to get something special, something interesting, something fucking magical in some moment. You have to, like, if people are tight or if they've been out of shape, or No, it fucks up the environment. People aren't relaxed. Actors can't do their best work, and that does make a difference between something that's good, average, great, whatever. And I think that if you say like, you know, it makes cognitive sense to people. But if you look around, like, what's his name? Colin Anderson, camera operator, right? Not the cinematographer, but I would tell you, I think he's the greatest camera operator there is in Hollywood. If you want evidence of that, he shot Marty Supreme. He was a camera operator on one battle after another. You know, you look at his resume, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. These are all fucking great movies. Now, is he personally responsible for all of it? No, because it's a collaborative medium. There is no, like, you can be a painter and paint by yourself. You can be a novelist and do that, sing, write music. You can't do this job alone. Like, there are a lot of people that go into it. You know, even when I realized, like, Matt was the lead in the last movie I did, Air, that I directed. Having somebody so fucking good in your movie who also goes up, does his job, is friendly, isn't fucking around or playing games or being weird, like, that sets this tone. Everybody else kind of goes, okay, well, what's Damon like? Oh, I see, we're taking it seriously, but nobody's gonna be a dick. We're all gonna do our job. We're not gonna take ourselves too seriously, but we're gonna take the job really seriously. And immediately, everybody kind of snaps into that. That trickle-down effect goes across the whole thing. And I think the best thing that I know how to do as a director is just create an environment where people feel like they show up, people like me, they're rooting for me, I can fucking embarrass myself and be bad, and it's not going to be in the movie, and it was going to make me feel self-conscious. And
I'm listened to, my ideas.
Yeah, and if I have something to offer, they're going to go, oh, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the trick, in my view. And then you're depending on the gifts of all these people. Every single one of them. You know, guys was, you know, some woman's assistant prop master is coming up with, like, the stuff that, you know, Phil Knight found, you know, his waffle from the shoe, they found it on eBay. Like, that's an extra mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you make people feel like it matters and you give a shit and that they're contributing and, oh, cool, let's do a close-up of that. That's really fucking cool.
Basic
They'll
materials.
go all the way, and it changes the whole
And
dynamic.
if you bonus
Materials.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt either, yeah.
You know, it's not just all, you know, it's
not just raw,
there's,
raw,
there's an
that's
actual,
raw.
like, codified bonus structure to say, like,
It's the way of recognizing that shit.
Yeah.
It's like in your paycheck, too. It's
that's
not
very
just-
real.
And you guys developed this? Is this something that you would, like, kudos to you guys for addressing this, first of all, and recognizing it and having that attitude, because it's so important and it's so easy for big movie stars to just think about themselves and their
Well,
own
we're communists,
careers.
Jeff. We're from Cambridge.
Keep the car running.
No, but each deal has had this kind of, each deal that we've done so far has been different. We've deals with, you know, different studios and platforms and stuff like that.
And then just involve us basically retroactively going, hey, we came in under, we did a great job, there's extra money, here you go. This is the first time that we were able to actually create like a schedule where it's like, because, by the way, we wouldn't have been able to do that without Netflix going, okay, cool. You think you can make this work? Because this would give you a shot. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So we had to say, look, we're not asking you to take it. But, you know, if we can, and we can tell you, if the movie is watched as many hours in the first 90 days as like this movie A, that you all know what it is, then that's, you know, 20% or something. Right? You just take a hit. So it's like, yeah, you make more money, your bonuses more. It's all just pegged to where you're at, just because that was the most fair idea.
So they gave us like 5 different levels, right? Like the first couple, hopefully we can hit, and maybe the third maybe we get, and then it got to like the
It's
fifth
kind of
level.
like single, double, triple,
Home run, fucking grand slam. The fifth one was 110% of all Netflix viewers, or something like that. So it's everybody who has a Netflix account watches it, and then like 10% of them watch it again. And we were like,
Oh, it's like K-pop demon. This is
no,
big as K-pop
but that's
demon.
what happened. We were laughing, and then K-pop Demon Hunters came along and actually did that. That's the first movie that's ever.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of autistic kids watch that over and over and over.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen it, but I mean, somebody's watching it over and over.
Oh yeah, dude, people love it.
It's, you know, the value of it is because before this, one of the big things, and everybody's fighting over the strike, is like, well, share your shit. There used to be residuals, right? The residuals, and it was only for SAG and a few other things, but it was like, and you knew if you had a line in the movie a certain number, like at the box office, well, you're gonna get another $2,000. And that was a big deal. You get that check in the mail, and like, okay, I can pay the rent for another month, I can do that shit. But then there was this like sort of what constitutes success? Because streamer doesn't actually sell another ticket if you watch that movie, right? And it's hard to tell, well, why did you sign up for this service, right? So for a while, everyone was looking at the first thing that you looked at when you subscribed to somebody okay, you're gonna go buy Hulu. What did you watch first? The Bear. Well, The Bear must be creating value for us, but you can't assign a strict numerical value to it because it's like a box office where you can go, well, you know, Oppenheimer's $1 billion or whatever, and you know that's another $1 billion on our balance sheet. Because streamers are doing this subscription. It's, you know, whether it's like a gym membership where in the fucking, you know, first of the year you're like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna buy that annual membership, and you go twice, or you go to the gym every single day, you're paying the same amount.
Also, the weird thing is with streaming, when you're opening up Netflix, it's not like you go to the movie theater and there's 7 movies playing. You're opening up Netflix and you have an unlimited option list. It's insane how much content. You could waste the rest of your life sitting in front of Netflix and then die and have, you know, millions of hours more to listen to or watch.
You're right. Like when we start researching that and built our own data to poll people and examine all this stuff, it's actually all the library stuff that people use. You said like the new stuff is theoretically what keeps people in subscription or whatever, but in terms of like volume of time, I think it doesn't come from them, but it looks a lot like, you know, we're gonna watch like Orange is the New Black and the episode of Suits and the old Seinfeld and Friends and what, you know, Cupcake Wars, or you know, that's what's, because Americans watch 6 hours of TV a day, right?
That's crazy. And then the other 6 hours they're on their phone. Like, how does anything get done? How does anything get done? When you started to make this film, like what is the process? Like, how did you guys agree on it? Like, did you guys have it written first?
Was
Joe Carnahan wrote it.
Joe. So
Before you knew you were going to Netflix with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came to us with the script, and we've known Joe for he did a movie.
Yo.
His first movie was called Narc. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Yo.
So we
Bear
met him
down.
way back. That's 25 years ago or something like that. And so we met him back then, and Ben did a movie. of his in
Just get done
04,
watching the rest of that
and
playoff
so we've known
game.
Joe for a really long
How was
time
it?
and Kind of been in touch with him over the years.
It was crazy, man. Like, it was a hell of a freaking end of it. Like, 18 seconds ago, dude scrambles. There was like a 38-yard pass in the corner of the end zone. And I was like pissed because I didn't want the Bears to win, so I'm glad they lost.
Nice. How was your Sunday?
Not too bad, man. Just kind of hung out and hung out with the kids a little bit. Did some cleaning up, picking up around the house. And, yeah, now just kind of chilling.
Nice. Sounds similar to my day. We didn't really do a whole lot. Did vacuumed and cleaned and did some laundry. That's about it.
Went for a nice run this morning, so can't complain about that.
Nice.
So I'm at step 5 of the expedition.
Yeah. Nice.
That is a ridiculous one, dude.
It's like you pretty much have to just drain everything because you have to
Yeah.
donate everything in each category. So
I got the medical supplies done. That was easy. I had so many Vita sprays just sitting in my friggin' account.
nice. I've never
I
used a
just
Vita
used
spray. I've always sold them.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? Just Yeah, you come in, dude. You're good. Yeah, you come in, dude. I ain't got shit in here though, but.
I don't know what the sign says because it's in North Korean. Classic dilemma.
Right? Yeah, friendly, just looking to get out. Yeah, friendly, just looking to get out. Thank you.
Boys.
Bear down.
Fuck the Bears.
Dude, it was so nice to
FTB
see.
for life, baby. Also for that to come off a Caleb Williams interception.
Right.
Perfect. This is gonna be. Oh, they're adding a lot for Ravens Watch tomorrow, actually.
What's up?
Ravens Watch.
No.
Okay. Hate Watch was successful.
Right. Dude, I got so nervous there though. Like that was totally a push off there at the very end in the end zone.
I thought it was too, and then they showed the replay, and it was kind of. I don't know.
I say he was also like 5 yards off the guy. So like, how long ago did he push off the guy? They're scrambling.
I'm assuming you're gooping or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah, but I can finish his read and switch over.
Goopin.
You want to come play with us, Griff?
No, I'm trying to do something right now.
Okay. No.
Thanks for the
Okay.
invite.
I just know you've been playing that for a little bit, so I didn't know if you wanted to swap.
Yeah.
So my dad, though, Eric, both these teams are gonna get annihilated by the Seahawks next week.
Oh, absolutely.
Whoever won was getting the swiftest kick in the ass next week.
That's funny.
Gonna do a game of quick cash while I wait.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going on a loot run. Just running around.
All good.
Shit up. I have to pretty much sell all my shit and then in turn come back and get it all back and somehow raise 5 million.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna do it this go around. I'll probably end up doing it one of the next ones. I'm not gonna get to 5 million in time.
What's up, man? How we doing?
That
Good to see you again, man. How we doing?
Oh, my connection is horrible today, apparently. What is going on with my computer?
It's a 5-to-1 ratio. What's this one? Trucks and core facility. Candy, shipping container, storage. So that's a 5-to-1 ratio still, it just makes more faster. Okay, cool.
I'm gonna have to restart my computer because my connection is horrible right now.
Alright. I say I just switched over, so I'll see you get back.
So I'm gonna probably try and finish this game just so I'm not that guy, but...
Okay, no worries.
I love how quick cache just gives you the ability to just use weapons that are just like bad, and you can make them work.
What's your example?
The double barrel.
Yeah. Classic.
Because you can it's just you can use the chaos of quick cache to your advantage.
Yeah, you really can.
Awesome. Love Pink just falling down there. What are they even doing?